flying out to the mission was it was a nerve-wracking experience because you're like, wow, this is actually starting. I know I was in the MTC for a little bit, and I actually had to go to the Salt Lake mission for 3 weeks to continue waiting for a visa. So I went from the MTC then to waiting in Salt Lake for a little bit. But this was like, okay, like I'm going to where I was called, you know. And I just remember I kind of had, when I was flying there, just that same feeling of wanting to talk to everyone I saw. When I arrived in Mexico, in Veracruz, Mexico, it was kind of a culture shock. I mean, first off, the humidity was just like hit me, and I was like, ugh. And there was some culture shock at first. I was like, wow, like I had lived in Mexico before, and so it was almost like remembering, feeling like I was coming back to place, because we went to a restaurant that was just all concrete walls, and I was like, oh yeah, I've been to places like this before, because I lived in Mexico when I was 13. And yeah, so all that, taking in that culture was fun. And if I could do something different, I would go back and I would make sure I take everything in, you know, in those first moments, and just really enjoy it. Like you get there and you're like so focused on like, oh, I gotta be a missionary. And it's funny because like this principle I learned is like always to be focused on being a missionary. But I think it's important that when you first get to the mission is to take a moment to take in the culture, take all that stuff in, because that will help you get familiar with your surroundings. It'll help you feel the spirit of like how God feels about the people here, and you'll get to know the people, because you can't teach the people really unless you love the people. And so taking in their culture and figuring that out, I think, is an important step. So if I could do something different, I would go back and really take in the culture.